this little discussion is not about bashing anybody else's school or, we are somehow better. We just do things. We have an approach that's a little bit different. The school model is to walk with confidence. We're a mixed martial arts school. We do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We're a Gracie Certified Training Center. We also do Shotokan Karate. We're part of the Shuhari Institute and on the karate side. And our focus really is about taking things that are applicable, that are real world things that you can do to protect yourself. You can still get a good workout, but in a world that we live in today, there are so many things you can do that give you a workout. Why do people still choose karate? They want to have exercise and be active, but they also want to learn how to defend themselves. And so our approach is to take karate and how do you apply that in a very real setting when someone is in your face. And I'd like to kind of get your take on this. I've got a couple of lower belts here. I've got a person who's done karate for several years and has a lot more experience. And I'd just like to hear your take on what it is you like about what it is that we do here. So what I'd like to do is start from some of the newer people here who are just kind of newer to the karate scene. I know I've been working with you for a while to try and get you to do karate because you've been with me with jiu-jitsu for a long time. Mm-hmm. But what was it that finally got you to come in on the karate side?
So for me, the jiu-jitsu really is very clearly about self-defense. Day one, we talk about, well, what if they're trying to punch you in the face? How do you protect yourself? And one thing, and I did karate as a kid too, a little bit, a small kid. But the thing about karate is it always is just like, it's like the Karate Kid, and it's these flashy kicks, and I'm going to do this tornado kick or whatever, and it just doesn't have that real world applicability. There's none of that, well, what if they just get close to you and bring you down to the ground? What do you do? And so for me, once we started really focusing on that in the karate, and I started seeing that, that's what brought me over to the karate. Because no offense to the old system, but there's definitely times where I would come early and I would watch the karate and I'd be like, well, I mean, that's nice if they stand there.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not going to just stand there. And so having done it now, though, I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. It's a good workout, and it really challenges things that I haven't got to practice much with jiu-jitsu. Because jiu-jitsu, we do work both, but we focus on the ground, and karate has let me really build my footwork and ability to stay on my feet and control that distance.
Yeah, awesome.
That's why I really like it.
Okay. So, you?
I'd say one of the things that I think is really interesting about karate, especially like the way we teach it here, for example, it feels really authentic. Like it's not, we're just doing the tradition because that's the way it's always been done. It's like there's an understanding of, there's a gravity to what we're doing, and there's a reason why this has been passed on for so long. It's not just like go through the motions, hey, here's your purple belt because you did, blah, 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 blah. It's about knowing what you're doing and applying it to real life. And I think that's because I think there's number one, a confidence that comes with that, but there's also there's a weight to it. It's not just, wah, 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 wah. It's not just like that. It's like I'm throwing a punch. There's a deliberateness to it. Mm-hmm. When we train with sandbags, for example, I mean, it's like the understanding of this is the exact reason why we're doing it. It's not, well, sensei says to do it. It's like, no, this is why we do it. And this is the ramifications of it. And it's really inspiring because it's like you're training those same punches, those same kicks over and over again, and you're training, okay, well, now that we've got this basis for why we do this, what happens if the opponent does this? And we can bring this new element in and we add pieces onto it.
Yeah.
And it's really, really practical, and I think that's the one piece I really appreciate about it.
What do you feel about your self-confidence now that you've started doing this?
It's a night and day difference. I would say when I just walked in one day, I think the welcoming environment was what got me keep coming for sure. Absolutely. That's why I've said this many times before. That's why I love this school. But specifically about the art, it's like knowing that I can handle myself in a fight. It's almost like you've got that confidence that I know what to do in a situation and I don't need to draw attention to myself per se. I don't need to go out and prove myself. It's like I know what I'm doing. I can recognize danger. I understand the impact of what I'm doing. I don't need someone else to acknowledge what I know about myself. So from a psychological standpoint, that's what I notice. But also from a real life standpoint, it's like I'm okay with me.
Wow. That was awesome. You're welcome. Wow. So we're very happy and lucky to have you here because you add a sense of spontaneity to class. But
That's an understatement.
that's an understatement. But really, I mean, we find. I think we always strive to find that balance between let's have some fun, but still take it serious.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So you guys really don't have a lot of experience at other schools, but you found a place, something that you like here, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been doing martial arts for over 20 years. Otis has been doing it for a while. He's got a lot of experience, and he's seen some differences. There are sports schools. There are real self-defense training schools, which we have aligned ourselves with, and then there are like Mick dojos out there.
Yeah.
We're not here to classify one over the other. We're here to just talk about us.
Yeah.
And Otis, I'd like to kind of get your thoughts on what it is that drew you here and got you interested in the type of karate that we do.
Okay. Well, I can't really speak about this school without talking about my experience at other schools. And it is not a bashing by any means, because I've learned things at every school that I've been at by any means. But I think what's important about this place is it's focused on real world application. I've literally been to, I would say, 90% of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools around the Twin Cities area. I've learned things from every single school. And it may have been just going to one intro class, right? But I know where my focus is because I do have some experience. I grew up in a martial arts studio. That's what I wanted to do as a kid. It wasn't basketball or football or baseball or anything like that. It was karate.
Right.
When the Ninja Turtles came to my school as a kid, I was I'm sold. Right? Literally, one of the Ninja Turtles that played.
I want a shell just like that.
Literally, one of the martial artists that played a Ninja Turtle in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 came to the school, and he was a real martial artist.
Yeah.
He showed us all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. And it was like, okay, this is actually how you do this in a fight. Right? So at the school in which I was really raised, in regards to my interest in fighting, it was all about, for me anyway, it was all about the fighting. The kata didn't really make a whole lot of sense because no one ever explained it to me.
Yeah.
So I just did kata in order to get belts. So I didn't really care about belts because I didn't care about kata. All I really cared about was fighting.
Right.
I happened to be probably the youngest person on the fighting team. So I knew if I didn't know how to fight that, my kata wasn't going to save me.
Right.
It just wasn't going to save me. I was also on the form team. So, I had to focus on my forms. And then if I did a team form in a tournament, I'd have to practice that. But that was equated to me practicing choreography.
Right.
My sister happened to be a dancer then, and she's still a professional choreographer now. She has her own production company. So I knew about the value of choreography. I understood how it can make you really strong. I could understand how it could bring some real fluidity to your body. I could really, really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as fighting, I have to practice fighting to be good at fighting.
Right.
All right. So that's what I focused on. I just focused on my fighting.
Right.
So when I come to a place like this, and at white belt, you're showing how to utilize kata to practice with this word bunkai, like as a white belt.
Yeah.
Like that's something that would usually be preserved to, oh, well, you have to wait till black belt and then you can come back over all of the forms in order to learn how to apply that, right? I mean, that's fine. That's the school, business model. That's essentially what that is. But at white belt, coming in, I can do the choreography of a white belt kata. I could probably do the choreography of your black belt kata. No arrogance there.
Yeah.
It's because it's choreography.
Yeah.
But do I know how to apply it? No.
Right.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're trying to show. I don't know if this is a one-on-one situation or a multiple person situation. I don't know the principle behind the technique.
Right.
And if I'm not going to learn the principle behind the technique, then why I'm just doing this as a form of choreography.
Right. Well, I mean, one could say, there's a reason why they call it an art, right?
Yeah.
So there are people who get into martial arts for the artistic value of
Sure.
which is totally fine.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. I mean, there are people out there that do kata far better than I do.
Sure.
Right, but I get it, because for me, what motivates me about doing martial arts is understanding the value, what it is, why it is you do what you do. Because kata isn't never going to teach you how to fight. Kata is going to help you practice movements for a fight. Ooh, I'm cutting it real thin there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but it's not a fight.
Yeah.
Right, you're just trying to develop muscle memory, a reflex. Right. You ever hear people say, when you do your kata, make them believe that you're actually fighting someone?
Yeah, that was really the focus of, at least that's how we were taught in competition. It was like a visual thing. Like you imagine like someone in front of you. Like if I am going to block a particular person's punch and then punch back, that's how I'm focusing on every single movement and direction that I'm placing. Right. So I could see that how there could be application there, but
Somebody's car went off.
but application there doesn't necessarily mean application when you're actually punching it.
Right.
I'm not saying visualization is not helpful. It's extremely helpful.
Right.
Absolutely. But if you try to punch me in my face, and I'm just sitting here visualizing, I'm going to get punched in the face.
Right. Yep.
So I'd rather have it taken really, really slow, right?
Yep.
For you to apply this offensive technique so I can slowly practice this defensive technique and do so with proper body mechanics.
Yeah.
Body mechanics, it really changed everything for me.
Well, I think that was one of the things that I had to discover on my own when I was looking at doing the karate. I've done Taekwondo, I did a little Muay Thai, I did karate, I did Kung Fu. In order to do any of those properly, it was about engaging the whole body, right? And utilizing gravity and another person's base against them, right? So our big focus is just to take the things out of the karate and learn how to apply it. And that's the other thing is that if you're talking about a real life self-defense situation, there's not 3 or 4 feet between us. You're like elbow distance away, and that's where we do most of our training. Is someone's essentially in your face. So there's a lot of limb entanglement, and a lot of people don't realize karate is about limb entanglement, controlling a limb and moving people around and keeping them off base.
See, that's a complete misnomer is in regards to what's known as karate. Someone being that close is thought, you might think of Wing Chun.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. That's why they have the trapping dummy. That's why you focus on that particular distance. Karate is seen in the same way that it's applied in the public arena, which is sport.
It's a sport.
It's completely based on longer range distance, not even mid-range distance. It's usually longer range distance. And then once you close the distance, then strikes start to happen, but they only happen as long as someone's leg is or as long as someone's arm is. And then it's a lot of trying to play with that range in order to be able to strike on the linear path. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you're this close, you're gonna a lot of people's technique are kind of gonna be gone.
And for me, that was a big thing that sold me about what we do here on the karate side. Because I love jiu-jitsu. I've been sold on jiu-jitsu for a long time.
Yep.
And doing this karate stuff and seeing how, well, you don't have to be when we're teaching this, we're not teaching this to be afraid of getting your legs held up. No, you take control of that.
Yep.
And the tie-ins to the jiu-jitsu, really, I love it. Every time that we do one of these bunkai things, and we practice this practical application or these little fight sim things that we do, I'm seeing all these ways to tie in my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And that just tells me, that is a great indicator for me of how practical this is, because our jiu-jitsu is practical. And I'm not going to see those tie-ins if what we're not doing is real.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know that.
No, it makes complete sense. So what are for me anyway, what are these universal principles that create this logo? When I look at this logo, whether it's on camera or not,
No. Where's Sebastian?
It's a yin yang, but
Yep.
we have to understand the principles of yin and yang, because
There's a balance.
Yeah, they're principle based.
Yeah.
So in this context, you're on the ground, it's niwaza. You're standing up, it's taichiwaza. You're striking, satame. So how do these work together?
By teaching both systems, people get to understand the stand-up art. People get to understand the grapple art, right? And then what we do is, for those people that do both, is we talk about that integration, because there is crossover. They both are complementary to one another. When I'm standing and there's some distance between us, right? I'm thinking karate, right? We get into limb entanglement. I'm still doing some karate, but I'm looking at ways in which I'm going to take you to the ground, right? So that might be a jiu-jitsu takedown. It would be a karate takedown. At that point, I don't differentiate from one to the other. It's all the same thing.
But then you have to distinguish for the audience, essentially, the fact that there are takedowns in karate.
Oh, yeah.
That there are throws in karate. That there
There's
are pins and holds.
joint
and
manipulation.
breaks. Yes. But we're not thinking like that.
No, it's
We're
because
thinking that we're bouncing
we see a
around
bunch of sport, and
Yes.
we watch movies,
Yeah.
and we're all standing like this distance apart, and I'm
Exactly.
throwing these crazy kicks,
Yeah.
and I'm jumping and spinning.
Yeah.
That's not what karate was originally made for.
But see, that's why, I don't want to speak for the group, but that's why I come here. To study that kind of application.
Close in.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just about close in. It's about how to utilize what's available, like in a real way.
Yeah.
So if strikes are no longer about just trying to knock people out, I'm trying to strike you so I can distract you. And I'm literally, in order to pin something down or to manipulate a joint or to take you down or to throw you, it's a whole nother mentality. I can't even call that mixed martial arts, because I've been to mixed martial arts schools. Mixed martial arts schools are about knocking somebody out or submitting somebody.
Right.
Like that's just what that is. Not negating any mixed martial arts schools, not negating mixed martial arts at all, right?
No, it has its place. I mean,
Most certainly.
it certainly is legit. I mean, because you're out there to really
Yes, hurt
somebody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And practically, that's one thing I love about the karate, because the idea that you can't tell the size difference sitting down, but the idea that I would be able to knock out someone like Otis is ridiculous, frankly. Like unless I set it up, unless I distract them and I get you in a vulnerable position. But if we're just standing slugging each other,
you're not,
I'm gonna
it's gonna
get
be tough for you.
destroyed.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
You're being humble, but
It's going to be difficult.
but if I can get a few distracting strikes in, close the distance, get a takedown, end up on top, well, now I'm pretty confident.
You should be. You really should be.
And that's what I love about the karate here, because it doesn't shy away from that at all. It's not that, well, no, you got to sit at this distance, you've got to get that foot up to their head and knock them out. Man, I can't kick that high.
Yeah.
That's one thing. My kicks are not that great, but
And even if you could kick that high, I can still
it's
kick you in the
slow.
groin.
Yeah.
It's so slow. We did a just like one thing that really emphasizes the difference for me too is when I first started jiu-jitsu as a white belt,
Yep.
and there were black belts from the previous karate system, right?
Yep.
And we did a drill where we had the black belts put on pads,
Yep.
and their goal was to kick the jiu-jitsu person or punch them. One solid hit, they win.
Yep.
We reset.
Mm-hmm.
The jiu-jitsu person's goal was to get in close, not let a solid hit connect,
Okay.
take them down, and hold them for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And as a white belt
Yep.
against black belts
Yep.
in this other system, I was taking them down very consistently.
Yep.
So let's be clear. You were a jiu-jitsu white belt
Yes.
taking down
Karate
black belts.
in this previous system because
So actually, that old system was Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, okay. But because their focus, they didn't think any of this stuff. They didn't think about limb entailment, about how to stop someone from taking you down. It was just, I have this beautiful kick, it's super quick, but it doesn't matter how quick the kick is, I can still step into it
Yeah.
and block it.
Yeah.
And now I've got my 1 second I need, your leg's in the air, you're going down. And it was amazing how that's what really drove it home for me. And so now that we're focusing on that sort of stuff in this karate system, I just love it. I really do.
Yeah. Now you don't see those high kicks. You don't see the spin kicks. Never give somebody your back, right? You don't give somebody your back, right? It's much more grounded, much more earth based. But anyways, we should we should wrap it up here. So much more that we can talk about that we can do at another time. But I just kind of wanted to get a feel for what it is that people were looking at and what it is that you liked and what drew you here.
Always happy to talk about it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Otis, thank you for the time.
Because people do that.